So I'm going to show you 8 powerful portrait prompts for Midjourney AI art. And for your reference, this is using Midjourney version 4 towards the end of 2022, where at this point this version is still using square aspect ratios for output. Now, I'm hoping that these 8 powerful prompts will provide inspiration and ideas for your art generation. And this is also about introducing you to art styles and artists that you may not have come across before. Take these prompts for your own character studies to use as concepts for story ideas. I'll also show how certain keywords provide a huge influence on final output. Certain primary keywords really help when it comes to portrait art. So let's dive in and explore these 8 different prompts. So prompt 1 helps you generate characters with Venetian masks. So this prompt produces amazing detailed character art with quite inspirational masks that have this incredible blending effect with the character's skin. Now the prompt includes the phrase photography of face, which helps ensure the resulting art is zeroed in on the face only. And for this example, central composition centers the face in the middle of the camera shot. I've included the phrase beautiful eyes to provide extra emphasis on the most important aspect of the face, as we will tend to look on the eyes first in a character-based portrait. The phrase studio photography increases the chance of a plain background and better lighting for the face. The art style includes input from Anna Dittman, who as a digital artist has won many awards and has been featured in many publications for her detailed character art. So prompt 2 is character art based on the idea of the explorer. Now an important keyword for this prompt is just 1950s. It sets the clothing and hairstyle of the character, and I would encourage you to use different errors in your prompts and experiment to see how this influences the generated art. I use the word explorer twice in the prompt to emphasize the character's role. A mix of 3 different artist styles is used in the prompt. That's Art Germ, Greg Ruetsky and Alphonse Mucha. I'm using Octane render to suggest something photorealistic yet computer rendered. And finally, you could remove the phrase reading an explorer map to just have a shoulders and head portrait of the character. Yet it is interesting to see what kind of details the explorer map ends up in each generation. So prompt 3 is the baseball cap, showing characters styled again after the 1950s era. I really like how just the term 19 figures triggers certain types of lighting and styling from those times, both in photography and in more abstract art. So on the left here for this example is something more photorealistic, and on the right is a little bit slightly more abstract. Yes, that term 1950s, it automatically sets up the character in terms of hairstyle, makeup and clothing. And when you include a certain type of hat, in this case a baseball cap, that may be enough to invoke the rest of the clothing to be matched on the character. Now for this example, I've used the free AI photo restoration service from Base 10, and the link is down in the description if you'd like to use it. So that will fix any challenges with the face that comes from an AI art generator, particularly the eyes get fixed. Sometimes they end up as different colors and can be misshaped. This fixes all of those problems. In this example, I added the phrases concept art, smooth, sharp focus and illustration just to make it a little bit less photorealistic. So with this next prompt I generated some great looking Viking warrior characters, and I decided to include 2 characters in the prompt. And Midjourney does seem to respond quite well to the two character idea. When you are dealing with a greater number of characters in the art, however, Midjourney does seem to lose count. And in these different examples, I tried different studio portrait lighting phrases such as Rembrandt, split lighting, intimidating lighting, but I'm not sure how much difference that really made. But certainly the term illustration and concept art makes the resulting render more abstract and painterly. I'd like to challenge you to try different portrait lighting type phrases to see if this influences the resulting artwork. Prompt 5 was looking at artwork that was a little bit more abstract. So I used the likeness of a character of Tom Hanks at aged 10, but using the phrase Unreal 5 to introduce a little bit more abstraction rather than being completely photorealistic. Now, the phrase Unreal 5, that's based on this latest version of the game render engine, which does render characters to a high degree of realism. Each time I've used this phrase, it does seem to tone down the realism a notch. So I've been quite happy with the result. Now it's interesting here as well how Tom Hanks at 10 years old does seem to provide this clue of what kind of clothing he should be wearing at that age back in 1966. So what do you think? Does providing a well-known personality and their age give enough context to the AI engine of the era or year that this art may be attached to? This next prompt goes a little bit more abstract. So I used to collect the Star Wars comic books back in the 1970s, and Howard Chaykin was the artist at the time, and it was interesting to learn that he hadn't seen the film when the comic was created. He just was working from a few transparencies that the 20th Century Fox released at the time. So the characters in the comic book did look a little bit different from what was on the film. So in this example, we're going to use Howard Chaykin in the prompt in that kind of style, and I tried 3 different examples where I added to the prompt a year from a different decade to see how that would influence the artwork, and I think it did create some differences. So we have 1958, 1968 and 1978, and here's the prompt. The next prompt is using the LINOCUT art style. It's a type of relief print styled artwork. It's also known as lino print or linoleum block print, and it first emerged in 1911. And with the effort involved to create this kind of art, it didn't become so prevalent in the time. But now that we have these AI art generators, we can easily dial up this style, and it is really effective. I really like it. So here's the prompt. So prompt 8 is the Rococo style, in other words Baroque. This emerged in the early 17th to mid 18th century, and it was a sort of dramatic, exaggerated style of work, style of art, exaggerating motion. It tends to be clear, easy to see the detail, very, very grand. And one example, one painter from this era was Francois Boucher, which I've used in the prompt. He was from that era, and his style is included here. And this is a fantasy style portrait painting of Meg Ryan character, based on the character of Meg Ryan at 22 years old. And she's turned out very well, but again I've had to use the base 10 photo restoration facility to fix her eyes, and you can notice that it also smooths out the face. It sort of reduces that painterly effect that was originally generated. So just be aware that that smoothing does occur, and it kind of does negate a little bit from the original artwork that was generated. So here's the prompt. Imagine a fantasy style portrait painting of Meg Ryan at 22 years old in the style of Francoise Boucher. Oil painting, hyper-realistic, render, regal, refined, rococo style. So from these 8 different prompts that you've seen today, let me know in the comments down below what your favourite is, and if you have a portrait style you'd like to share. I'd love to see what you've discovered that generates some interesting artwork. I'm Paul Bussey from Digital Art Live, and we have live webinar workshops each week in our community where we learn cost-effective digital art tools to tell visual stories. Even if you're just telling a story with one rendered image, connect with us at digitalartlive.studio, and you can use the link in the description below to join our free forum. If you found this video of value, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.